Hey there, everyone. It's me, Kelly Tennant with Kellie Tennant and Associates, welcoming you into 2024. We're almost there. It's the end of December, and I wanted to leave you this year with a couple of thoughts around employee engagement. As we entered into the new year, this is really a good time, I think, to start thinking about what's my new year going to look like for my business, and what are some simple things that I can implement in order to help my business thrive, keep my employees engaged, and therefore have growth and a positive culture within my organization in the upcoming year. So 3 things that I really want to focus on are upskilling and reskilling. Reskilling employees into new potential roles or upskilling them. So helping them prepare or become better equipped at a skill that they already have. So a couple of things that I really want to think about as we go into the new year are ways to engage your employees to help build a positive culture within your organization, which really doesn't just benefit the employees, but benefits the organization in terms of reduction in absenteeism, better outputs, better metrics. And I think when you have employees that are contributing in a positive manner to your organization, ultimately it helps not just the company, but it helps the community. So 3 key things I want to leave you with today as we go into the new year are to think about upskilling and reskilling your teams. And so really having that professional development plan implemented in your organization from the onboarding all the way through succession. And so it's really a cycle. I was talking with somebody about this today, and really creating that whole big picture. What does engagement look like? Well, from the time that we bring somebody on, what are our plans for their role, and how can we help develop them into the role, but also how can we help develop them into future roles and really grow within the organization and really feed into that long-term plan for the company. That may be through upskilling and reskilling. So are we reskilling them into different roles, or are we providing them with added benefit skills to help improve a role that they're already serving in? And I think upskilling and reskilling is going to be really important for organizations coming into 2024 and beyond, because of many new technologies and things that we have at our fingertips. AI is one of them. AI, at least in my opinion, is nothing new. It's just being used in different ways. ChatGPT, Copy AI, Bing AI. I've used AI in my organization in really experimental ways just to see how I can improve efficiency. And I have to admit, I've also used it in fun ways. Like I've created Pixar images of my dogs. And I've also used it to create meal plans. So, hey, there's some added benefits for you there. Use ChatGPT to create meal plans. But in all seriousness, how can we upskill and reskill our teams as some of these new technologies are coming into play and making our business more efficient? So we may be able to do certain tasks without as many human hands on deck, so to speak, but how are we going to be utilizing those individuals in different ways? And so we might need to skill them into other things. So for instance, we've been seeing a lot of, or I have anyways, seen several articles about the big yellow arch and how that organization is implementing some concepts where they have drive-through only. And they've had to reskill and reposition team members to help them navigate what that looks like. Their customer-facing work is going to be very different. They may need somebody to troubleshoot some of the self-managed machines, the machines that individuals use to place orders and whatnot. And so those are just some different things to look at. I think that AI is not going to change our landscape over time in terms of the future of work, but I think it's definitely going to be something that's integrated into the future of work more and more as we continue to evolve into 2024 and beyond that, really. And I think these are really new opportunities for businesses too, in terms of your strategy and building an effective strategy, really doing some research to determine, okay, what's on the horizon for my industry and how can I be ahead of the curve or follow that curve in terms of trends? And how can I help my employees follow that curve and be ahead of the curve as well, which benefits my organization, but also benefits them? Some other things to think about, and again, I was having lunch with a friend today, and we were talking a lot about this. In terms of perks and benefits, I've talked about this before. Now, I'm not a benefit strategist by any means, but from human development perspective, I've said this time and time again, and I really do believe that the work landscape has changed. And I think as organizations, many of us still have not caught up to the changes and the demands that employees today are really demanding. Now, I hate to continue to bring up the pandemic, and really I bring it up because it's a benchmark in time. It helps us kind of benchmark a time frame of when things shifted. And I think things were really actually shifting at a much slower pace before the big 2020 pandemic really hit us. I know that our work landscape had changed then. If you look at 100 years ago, we were big in manufacturing and producing outputs and producing tangible things, where at least in the United States, from that perspective, we don't output as much product as we used to at that time. We're much more, and workers are much more knowledge-based at this point. And so I think it's really important for employers to look at potentially the way that they evaluate the value of positions. Like, are we paying somebody an hourly wage to output things that are requiring more knowledge and skills? And what does that look like? In addition to where people can complete and do their work, I think it's much different. And I am an advocate for hybrid work. I think that people can be as productive at home as they can in the office. I do think there are opportunities that come up at the office that are also important, and being able to engage with teams in that manner. And so having a good plan and system around how your teams are going to be able to meet and collaborate, I think is always important as well. And so looking at those perks and benefits and looking at what's really working, and looking at our internal and our external customers in terms of those that we may employ in the future. What are their needs, and what are things that are going to be valuable to them in the workplace in the future? And I think that that's going to be really important for employees to look at, but also for employers to consider as well. And then the other thing to also think about is that hustle and grind culture. I tend to cringe when I see things that say hustle or die or hustle and grind. Yes, I agree that there is a time and a place to really be methodical about the work that we do and to really kind of put all in, so to speak. But I think employers are starting to realize, and not saying that they didn't realize it before, but I think it's more top of mind now for the employee and the employer that, hey, we're dealing with humans. People have lives outside of work. I think it was Adam Grant who said he puts out these weekly little snippets and kind of life tips and quotes, and I always find them really insightful. And I think it was him that put one out that said, just because somebody doesn't dedicate more than 40 hours a week to their job doesn't mean that they're committed. It just means that they have a life. And I think, again, using that pandemic as a benchmark, again, just a benchmark in time because it's easy for us to all relate to. I think a lot of people realized then, hey, you know what? There is more to existing in this world than spending my life at work. And that doesn't mean that people don't take their job seriously. It doesn't mean that they don't do good work. And it doesn't mean that they don't want to see the organization succeed. And it doesn't mean that there aren't times where, hey, we've got a big project coming in and we've all got to kind of put forth a little bit of extra effort and a little bit extra time to get this pushed out the door. I think most people are really willing to do those sorts of things. But in terms of that hustle and grind culture, I don't think that people want to live and die by the work that they do, and they don't want to be identified by the work that they do. I think it's important for employers to understand that balance, and I think it's important for employers too to also take advantage of that balance as well. Just a couple of quick things that were on my mind today as we jump into the new year. So speaking of, the 17th of January at 10 o'clock for 45 minutes, I'm going to be doing a Zoom webinar that's available to everybody. There's no cost or no investment for the webinar. We're going to dive a little bit more into some of these concepts that I've talked about And if your employee engagement strategy does need a little bit of shift and you need to implement some new ideas and maybe challenge some old mental models, then I think this is a great webinar for you to attend and collaborate with other like-minded individuals. So with that, I look forward to a fresh and a new 2024, and I hope to see you all on social media. You can follow me on various channels, Instagram, LinkedIn, and I'm even on Facebook as well. You can see me and you can see my 3 partners in crime, my dogs, Toshi, Miyagi, and Momo. You can see what we're up to. But most of all, I look forward to sharing with you in 2024 tips that can help your organization succeed and really changing the work landscape and the way that people work. I look forward to seeing you in 2024. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. We'll see you soon.